Hello everyone, my name is Jerry Granata and I am a member of the Brother Education team. I am so excited to be here to be able to show you one of the most innovative features on the Brother Aveneer, the ISR, or Intelligent Stitch Regulator. You've been asking for it and Brother has delivered in a big way. So let's head over to the machine and see how this amazing feature works. The ISR is a foot-based stitch regulator, and what that means is you'll notice that there is a foot that is now attached to my machine. Those of you who are familiar with the Move It foot, it attaches the exact same way. There is also a cord on the back that will be plugged into the back of the machine, just like the Move It foot. There are 3 feet that come with this as well. You will see I have attached on my machine the general quilting foot C, or closed toe. Also available is the quilting foot O, the open toe foot. So if you need a little extra visual or need to have a little bit better sight line, this is the foot to go with. Another great choice, if you want to echo around applique or a seam or whatever you're working on and you want to stay about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch away, this echo foot, quilting foot E, is a great choice for that. Another thing that you will notice is the line that is on the bed of the machine. This is an amazing feature. It's a sensor line, and what that does is it shows you where the edge of your fabric is, and it's right where the sensor line is. So as you are coming down and you are feeding your fabric down and quilting your project, once you go past that sensor line, you will know that the sensor is no longer going to work. So to counteract that, you're going to want to leave about 1.5 to 2 inches of batting and backing around your project so that the sensor is able to read the fabric moving underneath the foot. For those of you who are unfamiliar with stitch regulation, what the stitch regulator does is it reads the movement of the fabric and the speed of the fabric, and it adjusts the stitches accordingly. So those of you who may have been intimidated by free motion quilting, now that takes all of these variables out and you will have beautiful stitches as you're working on your project. Another light that you may see is the status indicator light. In this case, the status indicator light is red. That means the stitch regulator is at idle. Once I start using the stitch regulator, it will go green. Another thing about the sensor light here is you now have 16 available choices for colors. So not just red, green, or white. We now have 16 available colors to choose from. This button here allows me to turn that sensor line on or off. Now let's talk about the status indicator button as well. So what this is showing on the bed of my machine, you can see that the status indicator light is now turned off. So again, I can turn all of these on or off. I would like to leave them on because I may be stitching to the edge of my fabric and I want to make sure where the sensor line is. This is a Brother exclusive. So the sensor line is available only on a Brother machine. So let's talk about the different modes that are available. There are 3 different modes. There is intermittent, continuous, and basting. Intermittent is mode 1, and it's really the most familiar that we know of when we talk about stitch regulation. So when the fabric is moved underneath the sensor is reading the speed of that fabric and adjusting the stitches accordingly. Once I stop moving the fabric, the needle will stop. So let's look at intermittent mode now. I am in mode 1, and as you can see here, I can choose between a straight stitch or a zigzag. Another awesome feature is that I can choose the stitch length, the left-right shift, or the needle position. I can choose tension, or I can save all of that into memory. So when you have a stitch that you really love, you don't have to think anymore about what stitch you are choosing. So you can place that into memory and you're ready to go. You can then retrieve that as you wish. You can delete one or all of them. So that's an amazing feature. So let's see how intermittent mode works. So the first thing I'm going to do is hold my top thread, and just like regular free motion stitching, I'm going to bring my needle down and up because I want to bring the bobbin thread to the top so that I do not have any thread nesting. I will then drop the needle right where that bobbin thread came up and lower the presser foot. You will see that the stop start button has now gone green, which means I am ready to go. So I'll touch the stop start button and you will notice that the stitch regulation, no matter how fast or slow that I go, it is following my exact moves. And it is adjusting the stitches accordingly. And you can see that the stitches are beautiful. And another thing I want you to notice is how quiet it is. Our stitch regulator is now 25% quieter than other manufacturers. And in order to stop, I just touch the stop-start button again, and you will notice that the needle stops stitching. Now let's talk about continuous mode. This is a different mode. Whereas once I start stitching, the needle will start moving, but the difference is when I stop, the needle will keep bouncing up and down. Now, why would you need that? This is a great choice if you are going in a radically different direction from where you were stitching. Think very sharp points. You need to take an extra stitch at the top of that point, otherwise it will miss this stitch and you'll get an arch. So continuous mode is perfect for this. So let's go over and see how this works. So I'm going to touch the stop-start button again, and again the stitch regulator is following me, but I'm going to stop and you will notice that the needle keeps moving. So for an example, let's go over here to one of these sharp points and watch how it takes that extra stitch, and you see how I have a crisp, sharp point. It works beautifully. So it doesn't matter which direction I'm going in, continuous mode takes that extra stitch for me and creates a beautiful stitch. Now let's talk about basting mode. This is mode 3. This is, as it is making an automatic basting stitch while you are in the stitch regulator. It defaults at a 20 millimeter, which is about an inch, but you can go down to 10 millimeters or up to 30 millimeters. So you have choices as far as stitch length for your basting. So I'll touch the stop-start button, and you will notice that no matter what direction I'm moving in, I can baste my quilt absolutely perfectly. So let's look at our screen. You've seen me touching the screen, so let me explain what it is that you are seeing. So right here we have the sensor line icon. That's going to open my sensor line so that I could turn that on or off or choose from 16 different colors. I have my status indicator light that I can choose to have on or off. I also have my modes here. So I have mode 1, intermittent, mode 2, continuous, and mode 3 for basting. I can choose also to turn the stitch regulator on or off. So if I wanted to do just some free motion quilting, I'm free to do so without the stitch regulator. Down here I can choose my locking stitch, my cutting, needle up down. I can also use my pivot function in stitch regulation. Another awesome feature is I can adjust the foot height if I so choose. So if I'm working on a thick project or a thin project, Brother has given me the ability to be able to set that foot height so nothing gets caught under the foot. And again, I have a choice of stitch length, left, right, shift, tension, or I can place all of this into memory or not. You can choose to use the stop-start button with the stitch regulator, or another great option is the multifunction foot control. This is a foot that you can control, go into settings, and you can choose between needle up down, you could choose a locking stitch, you could choose a single stitch. This is a great option to use with the stitch regulator. Just some tips and tricks for you. If you are new to free motion quilting, I would suggest that you not use a pre-wound bobbin. Go ahead and wind a bobbin that's the exact same as the quilting thread that you're choosing to use. That way, your stitches stay nice and even, and if your tension is a little off, it doesn't matter because you won't be able to see that bobbin thread coming up. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I am Jerry Granata, and I look forward to seeing all of your amazing creations.